Okay, so let's see the distributed deployment. So we have so we have two nodes. Okay, we have two nodes. So I'm going to deploy applications onto these nodes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is so what I'm going to do is, so I will configure one more component here. Okay, I will configure one more component. Okay, I will configure one more component, and so one component I will deploy onto one node, and other component and the binding I am going to deploy onto another node. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so I'll create one Spring component. So I'll add a service for that. So I will create the DA file. Okay. Now, so for this DA file, okay, for this DA file, so I will create one distribution file. Okay, I will create one distribution file. So there you have distribution. Okay, so select the distribution and select next. So I will give the name. Okay, that's fine. So next, so select the composite, select next, and so I will take the default options only. Next, and I'll click on finish. Now we are having two nodes. Okay, we are having two nodes, so that's why. So select add node. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to keep the binding onto one node. Okay, I will keep the binding onto one node, but my business logic will be running on different nodes. So I will keep the mediation onto node 2, and I will keep the spring component onto another node. Okay, so the transport will be running on one system, and the bindings with your business logic will be running on different machine. Okay, and you can create one more node, and you can put the spring component onto different node. Okay, so this is my distribution file. Okay, this is my distribution file. So based on this distribution file, so I will create the DA file. Okay, I will create the DA file based on distribution file. So next and finished. Okay, now so I'm going to upload this DA file manually. So I'll go to applications. So first I'm going to remove this. Okay, now so I'll select new. So take the now I'm going to take the distribution file. Okay, so go to DA. Okay, I will take the distribution file. Select open. and select next. So this is the custom feature. So next. So it is saying, so where do you want to deploy your application? So I want to deploy application onto both the nodes. So select both the applications. Okay. Now, so select next. So next. Now, so I will select save and exit, because rest of the configuration I'm going to do it manually. Okay, select save and exit. And then, so in the configuration here, so first go to distribution. Okay, go to distribution. So now these are the logical nodes, and these two are your physical nodes. So you have to specify, so which is the node 1 and which is node 2. So you select node 1, and I'm going to make the Twilio dev node as node 1. So I'll select this Q node and I will move it. Okay, save it. Now select node 2. So node 2 will be the Q node. So I'll select Twilio and I'll move it. Save. Okay, now go to general. Okay, so now, so I think everything is configured here. The configuration, so there is nothing to do here. So properties are fine. So distribution is okay. Yeah. So with this, I'm going to deploy it. Okay. So let's deploy it. Now you check the status. Okay. So check your component status. There you can see the Springer and mediation is running on Q node, but the binding is running on the Twilio node. Okay, the binding is running on Twilio node. So like this, you can distribute your applications onto multiple nodes. Okay, so one composite component or one composite application fragments can be distributed onto multiple nodes, and you'll have the same feature. So I will associate the logger that we have, the logging appended that we have configured yesterday to the queue node. Now, so this is the distributed deployment model. So where you can distribute your components onto multiple machines. Now, the next one is, so I want to deploy the component into load balance mode. Okay, so I want to deploy the component into load balance mode. So this feature you will be implementing as part of service governance. Okay, so this feature is implemented as part of service governance. So if you want to have additional features, so those additional features can be implemented. Okay, those additional features can be implemented, or the quality of services. Okay, or the quality of services, so they can be implemented. So here you can see the Spring component was deployed onto queue node node. So here you have the log statements. Okay, here you're having the log statements. Okay, yeah. I'm saying it. So when you want to have additional quality of services like transactions or security implementation, or these kinds of things, so will be implemented as part of SY governance. So in service grid, the SY governance will be implemented using policy sets. Okay, the governance will be implemented using policy sets. So you have to configure your policy sets. Okay, you have to configure policy sets. So based on that, the governance will be implemented. So my requirement is, so I want to deploy the component into load balance mode. So for that, so what do you have to do? Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to deploy this spring component. Okay, I'm going to deploy or so I'm going to deploy this mediation component into load balance mode. Okay, I'm going to deploy this mediation component into load balance mode. So for that, what exactly you have to do? So you have to use the policies option. Okay, you have to use policies option. So that's why, so select your component, go to policies. Okay, so select your component, go to policies. And then, so you have intent, you have policy set, you have. Okay, so what exactly intent is here? So intent means you're going to specify, so what rule to be implemented. See, three things will be there here. So policy set contains one or more policies. Okay, one or more policies. And each policy so is based on one intent. Okay, each policy is based on one intent. So as a developer, you have to specify your intent. So what you want to do, you have to specify. So rest everything is implemented using the policy sets. Okay, so you have to configure the intent. Okay, or you have to configure, directly you can configure policy sets also. Okay, so I will select the policy set and I'll select intent. Nothing is here. So these are all the available policy sets. Okay, these are all the available policy sets. So the one that we require is virtualization. So it is saying that there is no policy set will be available to satisfy the select intent. So I don't require to use the intent currently. So directly I'm going to select policy set only. So that's why I will select policy set and I will select all. And there I have virtualize. So these are all available policy sets. So these are all additional quality of services. You want to have reliable messaging, the trading policies, so MTOM policies and all. JMS at least once delivery, the transacted one way at most once. So these are all what you call as policy sets, and these are all quality of services. And all these quality of services will be implemented as part of your service governance. Okay, as part of service governance. Okay, so what we require virtualize. So because, so what virtualize is saying, this policy set is required if the component service is load balanced. Okay, so this we need. So select that virtualize and then finish. So whenever you want to, okay, whenever you want to load balance, whenever you want to load balance your components, you have to use the policy set virtualize. Okay, you have to use the policy set virtualize. Okay, so when you select that virtualize policy set, the component can be deployed onto multiple nodes in load balance mode. So here you don't have any fault tolerant feature, because when you deploy component onto multiple systems, you will be having load balance mode. So which means when both nodes are running, you will be having load balance feature. When one of the node is offline, so you will be having fault tolerant feature. Okay, so with this configuration, so I will create the DA file once again. Okay, I have created the DA file. Now you can use distribution file, or you don't have, you can skip the distribution file. Okay, so first I am going to undeploy this. Okay, now so I'll take the DA file. I'll take both the nodes. Next, I'll just save and exit. Okay, now so this mediation is running on both the components, I mean both the nodes, and Spring we didn't do anything here, doesn't matter. Here, yeah. Now you can see here, so this binding is configured on two nodes. Okay, this binding is it is configured for two nodes, so Twilio and Q node. So we're not using distribution concept here, so that's why what I'm going to do is, so I don't want to provide the service invocation through this node. Okay, the service invocation should not be available on this node. Okay, so that's why I will select this one and I will delete this. Okay, the entry point to the service call should be only one. Okay, the entry point. Okay, the entry point to the service call should be through only one node. Okay, that is Twilio node. The call will be coming through this node, but the request will be processed. Request will be processed randomly. A request will be processed in round robin mode by these two nodes. So what are those nodes? These nodes. So Twilio and Q node. So in round robin, they're going to process the request. So with this configuration, I will deploy it. Now see your component status. So your component status is running on Twilio node. Okay, it is running on Twilio node. Okay, now but the actual binding is running on only on this Twilio node. Okay, so I'll create the Visual file. So I'm going to send 4 requests. Okay, so I sent 6 requests, and let's see how they are processed. I open a Q node. Okay, so even though I have sent 6 requests, okay, even though I have sent 6 requests, so you can see, so 3 requests are here. Okay, 3 statements are here. and rest will be here. Okay, so 3 log statements you have here, and other 3 log statements you have here. Okay, so 3 you have here and 3 you are having here. Okay, so this is how you can deploy your components into load balance mode. So whenever you want to deploy the components into load balance mode, okay, whenever you want to deploy the components into load balance mode, okay, whenever you want to deploy the components into load balance mode, so you will be using the one of the service governance feature, so which is what you call as which is virtualization. So like this, so any additional quality of services you want, okay, any additional quality of services you want, so you have to use that feature. Okay, you have to use this particular feature. Okay, now so we have seen the deploying components into load balance mode, and you can see the log information from here itself, and you can also see your component status from here itself. So let's say I want to graphically see, so how exactly my component is available. Okay, how exactly my component is deployed. You can select the component and you can click on this icon, graphical view. Okay, so this is your component status. Okay, so graphically you can see so how your components are connected. Okay, and so from here, from this dashboard, so you can see your entire runtime information. So since how much time it is running and how many nodes are there. Okay, and how many applications are running. Okay, and how many components are running, how many services you have, so how many references you have, everything you can check from here. Okay, these are the resource instances that we have got. So this is your runtime information. And so similarly, so if you want to see your application status, so you can click on this graphical icon, then you will shift to that. Okay, and if you want to see log, you will go to governance and you will select log viewer. So from here you can see the log information. Okay, the log information you can see from here. Okay, so you can substitution variables, they are nothing but when you say substitution variable, so they are nothing but in BW global variables there. So in BW we have global variables, so here they are called as substitution variables. So you can also create substitution variable here. Okay, you can also create variables from here. Okay, and what are the plugins that are deployed, it will show you here. So resource templates we have seen, logging appenders we have seen, and you can create. So you can create the global variables or substitution variables at the node level also. Okay, at the node level also you can create substitution variable. Okay. Now we have one final concept in the administration, that is how do you connect multiple composites. Okay, how exactly you can connect multiple composites. Okay, So that we'll see in the next class. So that we'll see that in the next class, and we'll complete the admin part. I think, yeah, we'll do it now itself, so that from tomorrow onwards we can see BPM. Okay, so this is my component, and this composite wants to call another composite. Okay, it wants to call another composite. So I'll create one more composite. So I'll simply specify a mediation here. I will refer the interface. And I will generate the binding. I will promote it. Now one composite can call another composite. Okay, one composite can call another composite through virtual binding. Okay, through virtual binding, so one component will be calling another component. Okay. And I'll generate the implementation. Oh shit. Okay, so from here I am going to call that composite. So as I said, one composite will call another composite through virtual binding. Okay, so that's why I will add a reference to this. Then select the port type, and I will promote this. I'm going to name this as PB reference. So I'm not creating any binding here. Generally, when you promote a service or reference, you will be using transport bindings. So I'm not going to use any transport binding here because So I am calling one composite from another composite. So that's why I am going to use the virtual binding. So I will update the mediation. Okay. Now I have to create DAF files. So 2 DAF files I have to create. Okay, I have to create 2 DAF files. So first I am going to deploy this one. Okay, and so I'll create DAF for this. So I'll deploy 2 from here. And so this I am going to deploy. You can deploy from here itself. Deploy module. So select it. Next, 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 next. So here you have to connect your components. Okay, you have to connect your component. So like this you have to connect. Okay, so you are connecting one component with another component through virtual binding. So like this you are going to connect. So this will become very important for you when you are working in BPM. In BPM you will be calling one process from another process. So while deploying it you have to wire them correctly. So if you don't know how to wire them correctly, so it's going to become very difficult for you to deploy the BPM projects which has multi-process invocations. So now here we are connecting so one composite with another composite through virtual binding. So this is one option. And second option is there, so from here. So first I will stop this. I'll undeploy this. And take next. So Twilio node only. Next. So you can see, so automatically it is connected. Okay, it is connected automatically. So you can also do it manually. You can delete this wiring. And you can select your manually you can configure them. Okay, or you can simply save and exit, and from here you can do the rest of the configuration. See, in the wiring you can connect them. They will be connected. So 3 options you have. So for for enabling communication between one composite with another composite. Okay, so this is what you call as late binding. Okay, this is what you call as late binding. So you can perform late binding between the components which belongs to one enterprise or between the component which belongs to multiple enterprises. Okay, so enterprise wide also you can do that. Okay, the enterprise wide also you can do that. Okay, and when you see the graphical representation of this, it will show me clearly. Now, so they have some problem here. What is it? So we didn't select the target operation, so that was the problem. Anyways, okay. So, but that's how you will connect the you will connect your components. Okay. So this concludes the AMX admin. So you can one more feature is that you can also enable SSL connection to your transports. Okay, for your transports you can also enable SSL connections. Okay, so for that you will be using these options. Okay, SSL server provider, identity provider and all. So these things you will be using to enable SSL transport for your web services bindings. Okay, so from tomorrow onwards we will see BPM part. Okay.